Hi, it's Russ, and here's a video with some tips on how to fly the UKF3A Intermediate schedule. Just using 5-mile-an-hour winds on this video, otherwise the angles start to look a bit silly on the simulator. Starts off with a judged takeoff sequence. A lot of people tend to rush this, so take your time, get a feel for the conditions. It is judged, but it's only K1, as you can see there. So make the turn 180 degrees and see what's happening with the model, try and look what's happening with the wind. And the judging finishes when you go beam yourself, so I'm going to use the slightly higher bit of the mound there. And I'll pull up, see what happens with the model. So I've pulled up a little bit steep there, so there isn't that much drift, so I'll probably use about 5 degrees or something like that when I find the sequence. So you get a free turn round, again, take your time, you can go as far as you like, the box doesn't apply. And you run back in for the first manoeuvre, which is going to be the triangle. And having done the takeoff, you should have a rough idea of what's happening with the wind and the drift. So we pull round the first part of the triangle, all the radiuses should be the same, so there we go. I'm going to use about sort of 50 degrees pitch up, which should give me the 45-degree angle. Pitch over the top with the same radius as you pulled in, again looking for that 45-degree angle coming down and the same radius on the way out at the bottom until you go past the centre line again. We then set up for a stall turn, and again you want to go right to the end of the box for this, not for the stall turn but for the next manoeuvre, so give yourself plenty of room. So up, correct for the winds, have a pause, roll the aircraft, make the same line as you did after the pull up. Make the stall turn, correct for the wind again, pull out fairly quickly at the bottom so it doesn't drift too far downwind, because we've then got the 4-point hesitation roll. And if you don't go far enough, you won't have room to do this and make it centred. Finish the 4-point hesitation roll and almost immediately start pulling up into the Immelman turn. And you want to make this really big and high. The Immelman's only K2, the next manoeuvre is K4, so the next manoeuvre is twice as important, if you like. So nice and high at the top there, go past the centre, pause a couple of marching paces, gently put the nose down and correct for the wind on the way down. Half roll in the middle of the down line, pull out, that'll be fairly tight because of the wind, count as you go past the centre, pull up with the same radius, pause, try and make the roll the same rate as you did on the way down, and this will be fairly gentle as we go over the top to try and make the radiuses all the same, correcting for the wind. Now don't go too far towards the edge of the box now, so immediately do the roll, and as soon as you finish the roll we start pushing down for the split S. And again, we don't want to go too far because it makes it easier to see the model and see what it's doing. That finishes the split S, and we've got plenty of time, even though we went early, because the next is the outside Cuban 8. So we start it as we go past the tree and make this fairly large, especially if you're a little nervous about doing the half roll on the 45-degree down line. So if you go high, it gives you a bit of room. So on the 45-degree down line, mark a line, make the roll, same line, and then accelerate the aircraft. I've probably overrated there a bit, but accelerate the aircraft to give yourself space to do this half of the 3/4 outside loop. Power back early, again come down, mark a line, make a roll in the middle line, and then push out at the bottom. And then almost immediately pull straight up, or push straight up, sorry, into the Humpty Bump. So it was a nice, fairly tight push to start with, which means this, when it's going downwind, doesn't get too big and it helps it to stay in the box. Again, correct for the wind on the way down, and you're coming back into the wind, so the radius is easy to make the same as the one at the start and then on the top. Figure S, I think again this is K4, and it's right in front of you, so not much where to hide. So 2 half loops, again make it fairly big, because of the next manoeuvre, which is the figure 6 with a roll on the way down. No lines between the 2 half loops, so as soon as you finish the first one, push straight round to the second one, nice and gentle, until we get to the top and the model's fairly high. Again, we don't have to go too far, but think of a nice gentle entry because it's got to be the same radius as the 3/4 loop at the bottom. So mark a line, roll, line, and then that gentle radius at the bottom, the same as the radius as the entry at the top. Keep it going round all the way, nice and smooth. And when you come out, give yourself a little pause to prepare and then into the knife edge flight. Count when it's in knife edge, so 1, 2, centre, 1, 2, and roll out again. Depending on how high you are, if you're high you can make this pushed half outside loop fairly tight. If you're low, make it big, ready for the 3-turn spin. Again, this has got a low K factor, so I think it's K1, and the spin is K4. So whatever you do, make sure that you have plenty of height and then be patient, waiting for the model to stop and the wing to fall. There we go. So no flick entry, and as we come there, correct for the wind on the way down. In fact, I may have overdone that slightly, and then pull out back to the base height. The landing sequence is also judged, but it's 2 180-degree turns. Now I'm going to turn left here, but you can turn left or right. There's no requirement to go either way, and that will probably depend what happens in the spin, particularly if you're blown in or blown out. So the 3-turn spin, the model can move quite a long way. So just turn whichever way you think is appropriate, and when you're practice them both ways. Talking of which, also things like figure 6, when you're practicing that, it's at the end of the box, it's harder to see. So practice it in the middle, and when you're ready, put it back to the end of the box. All that sort of stuff to try and help learn the sequence and fly it nicely. So you make your landing, it's only K1 again, so obviously do it as well as you can. And that is the intermediate sequence for the UKF3A. Hope you enjoyed the video.